Thank you, Irving. At first, I would like to thank you to the member of the committee trying to give us the ideas and recommendations and put together in a very intelligent and excellent form what we debated on. We have had 4 presenters, and then we have had 20 members of discussant. And that was a lively debate. And at first I would like to say that this debate is helping us to work to each other, and in that kind of environment from anew. So that means that we, Erwin, we should be the activists in order to convince our respective parliaments that the case of the fight against anti-Semitism is our own case. It's nothing to do only with Jews, but to do with ourselves. So this is the first thing we observed in this debate, and I guess this is the point that we have to make. Then, after this lively debate, especially came to the forefront that we are not only, as Europeans and from North America, fighting against anti-Semitism, but there is to be seen in Latin America a possibility that anti-Semitism is coming to the forefront. It has been observed by a lot of members of discussion in the discussion that especially the one who is trying to establish a kind of a new power monopoly in Latin America, that he could trigger out that kind of anti-Semitism that we are witnessing especially in Europe. And it is necessary to make clear that there are links to be seen between, for instance, it was named several times, Hugo Chavez and Ahmadinejad. So this link should be clear in our mind that it is there, it is present, and we have to do something against it. In the end, I tried to focus on the recommendations that we found out, and there are 8 we have seen. The first is that we have to continue our work to combat anti-Semitism at governmental, at national, and at the national of the level of international work. So these 3 things we are having common now. The second recommendation was that the ICCA should be the one to encourage different parliamentarians to pick up the point how to deal with Ahmadinejad. And if there is a possibility, we should encourage from ICCA parliamentarians in order to lay out and to think about how to sanction Ahmadinejad and to strengthen the sanction mechanism against Iran. There should be sanctions, that was pointed out, against heads of state like the President of Iran. We must take concrete steps. The third recommendation, leading and referring to Ahmadinejad, should be tried at international courts. So this is, again, what you are working on. We should be the ones to encourage that kind of efforts that Erwin Kotler is working on. The fourth, there must be a face-to-face meeting with people surrounding and working in the Venezuelan parliament, so that we could have a possibility to convince parliamentarians in Venezuela that we are critical towards Hugo Chavez. This is one of the findings we have had. Fifth, media bias is global concern. Media is essential when we deal with a situation we rely on, the education situation. Educate and publicly speak out. So that means the role of parliamentarians should be an active role, especially then, Vivian made the point, when there is a kind of ignorance in the media or biased media present. The sixth recommendation would be importance of networking and thinking out of the box, as you've made it, and coming up with new strategies. We should try to elaborate how we can do in the future much more better than we did up to now. The seventh recommendation is take advantage of internet to combat anti-Semitism, and it has been raised several times here. And the last thing, the eighth recommendation, we must combine our duty as parliamentarians with social networks such as Facebook, internet, and etc. And one point in the end I would like to make, because I don't see whether the lady from Norway is still here. But she raised a very critical point that because of the fact that there is a difference between political elite, government, and then society. We have to be the ones to close the gap between government's attitude, clear-cut against anti-Semitism, most of the governments. We should be the one to close the gap between governments, parliaments, and then societal level. It is our necessity to fight and do it in common. This is a good starting point.